and thus attain the state of Vajradhara. Okay, let's do the 4 conmeasurables. May all beings have happiness and create the causes of happiness. May they all be free from suffering and creating the causes of suffering. May they find that noble happiness which can never be tainted by suffering. May they attain universal impartial compassion, free of worldly bias towards friends and enemies. Sem jendam je dewa tang de we ju tang den pa ju tik dungal chichu tang tra wa ju tik Dungal mipe dewa tampatang mindra wajuchik nearing chaktang ni tangdrawe tangnum chempola ne pajuchik. So good evening to all of you. And Taulok, I saw you coming in. I'm very happy. Can I see you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, but I
cool. I don't know where I am in your in the scheme of things on your screen, but yes, I'm here. I don't know whether I'm late or early or at the end or the beginning. I think I'm at the end, aren't I?
You're absolutely fine. You're at the beginning of the talk. You missed all the prayers, so don't worry about it.
There we go.
Done it. We'll do the
what a
prayers.
blessing. Okay, I can put you right.
The world needs it. Have you not got a camera?
Yeah, let's see why the camera isn't on. Stop video. Let's see if we can get. I look a mess because I've been working in the garden, but
don't worry. Just like to see your face.
I'll see if I can find how to put myself on. Just continue while I struggle. Hang on.
So tonight, everybody, we're going to do transcending ordinary body, speech, and mind using special meditation practices. Now, the practices come at the end of the session, and these are the practices that we use in order to really transcend that body, speech, and mind. So I'm going to start off tonight with a little story, which is a lovely story. The great Persian poet Rumi had an extraordinary teacher, and his name was called, sorry, just let me let them in, and his name was called Shams, Shams, which is quite a funny name, but that was his teacher's name. Even as a child, Shams seemed different. His own parents struggled whether to send him to a village, to a monastery or a village of fools. They did not know what to do with him. So when he had grown up, he actually told them the following story of the duck's egg that was found by the hen and hatched. The hen raised the ducklings with her other chicks. One day they walked to a lake. The duck went right into the water spontaneously, and the hen and dived, they call it dove into the water, dived into the water, while the hen stayed timidly on the shore. And Shams said to his parents, "Now, father and mother, I have found my place. I naturally could swim in the ocean, even if you must remain on the shore." Now, that's a beautiful story because basically, our natural ability of our body, speech, and mind, which I started to tell you last time, and those of you who weren't here can go back and do it. But if you look at your natural, transcendent body, speech, and mind, it can do the most amazing, amazing things. It really is able to do amazing things, but we haven't realized this. And the more I study the subject of the three body, speech, and mind, vajra body, vajra speech, and mind, the more fascinating it actually becomes. Because I have to stop myself from putting more and more and more into the talks because there's so much. We could go on listening to it for the whole year. But the ordinary body, speech, and mind that we use in our daily lives is so limited The trouble is we don't even know it's limited. Sometimes you see somebody like a dancer whose body is completely completely whatever the word is, it can do absolutely anything. And we wonder, how does the body do that? But Vajra body does absolutely everything. And if we don't realize how limited our ordinary body, speech, and mind is, then how can we go beyond it? How can we can only do with our body, ordinary body, speech, and mind, what we tangibly see and understand. Shame that we're having a lot of difficulty, people, tonight. Tangibly see and understand the black and white, the separation of me and you over there. Everything is absolutely duality, the way we do it with our ordinary mind. So let's go back now and look at again how creation works, and then apply this very practically to our own minds. So when we look, there is essence. Hello, Taluk, I can now see you. It's essence, which is everything that we are made of. If we don't know that we are the essence, then we lose out because we believe we're something else, some little person with all the limitations. But the essence is called emptiness, spaciousness, limitlessness, the ground. It's called Dharmakaya, or primordial purity. And we are all Dharmakaya, all of us. Our very essence, it's our true mind out of which everything arises. It's such an important thing to know, because as I'm sitting with people going through really terrible times in their life, all I'm saying to them is rise to your essence, because your essence will then work through you. But let's take the three aspects. So there's the essence, which is called Dharmakaya. Then that essence has a nature, a complete nature. The nature is awake, really awake. We aren't awake. The nature of the Dharmakaya is totally awake, knows exactly what's going on, okay? It's luminosity, it's clarity. It's called Sambhogakaya, okay? Or it's called spontaneous presence. Now, when you hear about primordial purity and spontaneous presence, it's the real nature of the essence, not our ugly things, not the wars that we create. It's our real, beautiful, beautiful essence. It's our true speech. But speech is not just words. It's prana. It's that energy. It's the sound of the mantra. It's total communication, not only your words, but everything. When you are in harmony in your body, speech, and mind, the speech comes out as vajra speech. You don't have to think about it. It just naturally comes through you. And it's also all your communication, and it's all your emotions, and it's so much more. It's the most amazing thing. Now, James Lowe, in his book, Being Guru Rinpoche, he says, your speech is the unchanging body of Kunta Zangpo. Now, Kunta Zangpo is the same as Samantabhadra. It's the primordial Buddha. He says your speech is the unchanging body of Kunta Zangpo. He says your speech is never ceasing with the 60 melodies of Brahma. Now, what does that actually mean? Of the world, it means in the Hindu tradition, always they said there were 60 melodies that Brahma, the god who was the creator, okay, used 60 different sounds to bring about his manifestation. Now, I want you to think about this because it's so fascinating. He used 60 different sounds. This means that all the sounds we hear, whether an aeroplane, broken glass, somebody screaming in pain, somebody with despair, all the sounds that we hear, all these sounds are actually the ceaseless display of the Sambhogakaya level. Now, I want you to just ponder that sentence. I'm saying it again. All these sounds, whatever sound you hear, like yesterday while I was doing my talk, my darling beloved dog was giving his barking session because the people were packing in my house, and he decided he needed to protect me in the middle of the talk. Okay, now how do we hear this loud barking when I'm trying to teach? Well, what is it? Is it one of the 60 sounds of Brahma, the sounds that come naturally? It's natural to him, and he's doing a good deed. He's protecting me. So maybe when we start hearing the sound in a completely different way, in one of my prayers, it says, may we truly realize the Sambhogakaya as the display of spontaneous actualization. I was doing that prayer yesterday, and I thought, unbelievable, because I've never really listened to that. But now that I'm talking about Brahma's speech, that's what it says. It's the spontaneous actualization. Now think about what I'm saying, because Vajra's speech, as you know, and I told you last time, when the Buddha spoke, he spoke to thousands of people. He didn't need a microphone. He didn't need simultaneous translations. Everybody could hear his Vajra speech in their own language at their own level. I mean, unbelievable. Think of me struggling here to get a concept across where my mind and body and speech are not in harmony with each other. And sometimes when I absolutely let go, then I feel that power of the essence flowing through me in the speech. And it's not Melanie's speech anymore. It's not ordinary. It's the energy from your essence, from your Dharmakaya, coming through into the Sambhogakaya. You can ask me as soon as I'm finished. The third aspect, okay, or you can comment. The third aspect, so it's the essence, it's nature, the essence, which is Dharmakaya, it's nature, luminous, clarity, absolutely with many different sounds, okay? And the third aspect is called unlimited energy. So essence, nature, and unlimited energy. And that unlimited energy, you know how we are, we've got so much energy and no more. But if you were in a near Manakaya, your energy would never ever run out, because it's a universal law that once the essence, the Dharmakaya, and the speech, the Sambhogakaya, are in harmony with each other, then the unlimited energy can be expressed of true purity, and we're able to fully relate to both samsara and nirvana. It's not that you go onto another plane with your limited energy. You can relate to samsara and nirvana when you are using that unlimited energy. It's the real Vajra body called the near Manakaya. Now, it's a very interesting thing, because the near Manakaya appears in thousands of different ways. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but the ability of the near Manakaya to appear according to the needs of all sentient beings, okay? The energy is there when it's in harmony with the Buddha nature mind, with the essence. So then the energy is there. So that near Manakaya can express itself as a supreme near Manakaya. That's what Buddha Shakyamuni did. He was a supreme Nirmanakaya, okay? So he could do anything. And when people say to him, how did you manage to teach solidly for 80 years or however long it was? He said, I wasn't aware of an I. It was simply teaching coming through me. I mean, isn't that a beautiful idea? So you can be the supreme Nirmanakaya. These beings can appear as a bridge if somebody needs to cross a river, as medicine if somebody needs urgent medicine, as anything, as any being, as a beggar. You wouldn't even know, but this beggar touched your life in some way. They can appear anywhere, they just manifest. And anything, the nature of mind reflects what is arising like a reflection in a mirror, the mirror and reflection. And if we want to take this energy a little bit further, and this is difficult to understand, so it doesn't really matter whether you do or you don't understand it, but just to give you an idea, okay, there are three types of energy, okay? One is called Dang, D-A-N-G in Tibetan, Dang energy. What is Dang energy? It is when the mirror just reflects formless energy, completely formless. It's infinite and formless, but it can adapt to any form. So if you take a red cloth and you put it in front of a mirror, the mirror will reflect, the mirror will become red. That's what Dung energy is about. It's the Dharmakaya energy, which is formless, but it can reflect anything in the universe. Then you have the second one, which is called Rolpa, Rolpa, and that's like a crystal. Now, what Rolpa is, if we take this crystal, raw energy is like a crystal. The object outside reflects inside the crystal. And that's the Sambhogakaya level of energy. It's not dualistic. So it looks like it's outside, but it's inside the crystal. That's the second type of energy. And the third type of energy is the energy we are a little bit used to. It's called soul energy. And this is the energy which we perceive through our senses. It's called soul energy, the material level of external phenomena that we see, separate, outside, but actually nothing is really outside. And that's the Nirmanakaya energy. It's really very, very energy. Look, they are difficult to understand. I've read about these three types of energy. You know, Namkhai Norbu did a lot of teaching on the three kinds of energy. It's quite difficult to understand, and it doesn't really matter. You don't really have to understand it. But I just want to give you a vague idea of what happens when Vajra body, Vajra speech, and Vajra mind work together. Then you've got this superhuman form because they all are together. And then wherever you are, no matter what terrible circumstances you are, they all work in an interrelated way, and you feel okay about being in the world, even when there are wars and traumas and terrible things happening to you. That's the whole thing. Because in the Vajra body, speech, and mind, we understand everything from a completely different perspective. So what I want to do, and then I'll open it up for you to discuss it. The other morning, when I was actually preparing this stuff, I woke up in the morning. I'm waking up very early because we're busy, you know, working out what to do, how to do it when you move. But I woke up in the morning and I had this dream. And in my dream, and it was a quick dream, but it had such clarity for me. When I pondered the dream afterwards, I want to explain it to you. So what happened in the dream was, and it was a short time that I fell asleep and I had the dream. I was sitting in a very big audience, And I was teaching the people in the audience. But what was very interesting was that I was sitting in the front row, not facing the people. So I was giving this quite complex teaching, not even looking at how anyone was receiving it. A very interesting thing. I was just teaching in this front row. And then when I came to the end, I was going to have questions from the people. Like I always ask you, do you want to say, do you want to ask? And this girl next to me said, we need to go right now. And I said, okay, got up, took my bag, which was a flimsy little bag, and off we went. She said, we're in a hurry. But as we were going out, because I want you to understand the whole theme of this dream, as we were going out, a childhood friend of mine that I have seen over the years came dancing on this couch, like a white couch. So she was more ethereal. And then I said to her, I just said to her before I left, shame, you really had difficulty in understanding. And she said, no, I didn't. And she said, she quoted me all kinds of things standing there. Now, that particular girl was really not very bright at school, and she didn't do very much. And that's why I had assumed that she wouldn't understand these very complex teachings, but she had understood it. So that was my next conception in the dream. And then I ran to the lift, and this girl said, come on, we've got to go. And I took this flimsy bag, and when I looked in the little bag inside me, I thought, there's nothing in this bag. And so without even telling her, I about turned and went back to the place to pick up my phone and all my belongings because there was nothing in this bag. And so what I did was I picked up 3 bags. First, I picked up the heavy bag with all my chut in, phones and all the things that we keep in our bag, purses and everything, which I'd left behind. I put them all in. Then there was a very pretty bag, and I put that inside. And then there was this flimsy, was hardly made of anything, with almost nothing in it. And I put it in the middle. And then I put the bag over my shoulder, and off I went and out of the dream. Okay, so maybe a lot of you say, what did the dream mean? It was so clear to me when I woke up that, first of all, I was seeing how teaching would go at a much later stage on this planet, where it wouldn't be given to you in purity form. You're getting it in purity form now, baby purity form. You're getting little spoons, and how are you, and do you understand, and here I am, and I'm relating to you. Eventually, this teaching is not going to be on this earth plane like that, I promise you. And so I was seeing that actually you had to depend on yourself. And that's why the vajra body, speech, and mind was so important. Secondly, what I was being shown in my dream was never to judge another human being. Because if they were in their vajra body, speech, and mind, then this temporary drama of that person would be absolutely meaningless. There would be no point in actually hanging on to my idea of what this person is. Now, my idea of what she was she'd never be able to understand it. And she was floating along this couch type thing and understood everything and more. So when we're using deep perception, it's very good not to judge. Thirdly, was the 3 bags, which was so interesting because I'd been studying this vajra body, speech, and mind. And definitely the big bag, which I left behind because I was floating off out, the big bag, which I came back to fetch, was the near Manakaya. The pretty bag fitted into the body. The physical body was very important because this physical body has got to hold that nature, that essence. It's got to hold it. And thirdly, that the flimsy, what looked like a flimsy bag with no tangible things in it, was like the dung energy of the Dharmakaya, which fitted into the whole scenario, and off I went. So that was my dream. It was so clear to me when I woke up. It wasn't like I had to think about it. I really just understood what had been shown to me. So maybe before we go on, because I want to do a couple of prayers to help you with this Vajri study, I want to give you a couple of prayers that you can have. Does anyone want to comment or say or ask? Please, if you do, please do. Because it's a most exquisite subject. When you touch on it, you start transforming immediately. When all three work together, we do not realize, and that's what I'm coming to teach you, how out of harmony our body, speech, and mind is. So many times when you are talking to a person, they're not even there. You can see the mind is out there. It's not in the body. You can see in that communication. You know how many people you look at and they're not communicating the truth. And you see them like this, and you don't feel comfortable. But how many times are we doing things for the sake of doing things, or because our parents taught us to do things? I think it's so important to have this all together. It's really important. So on the basis of that, does anybody want to say anything? Please do, because it's very important for all of you.
Well, I had a, sorry, is there anybody else? I had a weird experience. So I had to go out for an MRI for my shoulder. And I've never actually, with all my sports and all that, I've never been to an MRI. And so I get into this, what you call it?
Like the pod, the capsule, what do you
yeah, that's right. So now I'm in there, and I don't know if you've been. I mean, it's like this terrible noise all of a sudden, right? So, somebody knocking at your wall with a hammer all the time. And I don't know why, what, but I just said, this is actually a good thing. This is, it says whatever Vajrayana practice you do, it says all sounds are the mantra. So I started humming the Tara mantra, and I mean, it's no big wisdom, nothing, but it worked. It totally worked. I was after a while, I was saying, well, where's the bloody hammering sound? I want to do the mantra again.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. You see, what you were doing was you were actually using the Sambhogakaya sound, of what
unbeknown to me. Yeah.
But normally, a person would really get afraid because, being in that time and having that noise and you don't know what's happening and you don't know where you are, it's really quite a scary thing, But I think it's amazing. I think that's a wonderful experience and a wonderful, wonderful, example of how we can use ourselves. And if we did that in our lives, because that's exactly what I did when Jack was barking yesterday. And I'm going, just, you irritating me. But actually, why was he irritating me if he was protecting me? Didn't matter that his son, what he was doing had a good energy because he was protecting me here. And so you have to see it differently, but you have to take body, speech, and mind together, unified, interrelated, in order to be that, supreme human being. I love that. Anyone else? Okay, then sorry, anyone? Please, Modise.
I think it's quite interesting, especially being a parent. How do we then, interact with our kids, especially when they're going through a phase where they're trying to understand their own emotions. So how do we then center ourselves to help them move through that phase without getting irritated and just centering yourself as a teacher?
think it's such a beautiful question, that, because how do you, people, I think that children are our biggest teachers. And I think always when you are using that interrelated body, speech, and mind, I think the most important thing is to take that question mark, take that awareness, and put the question mark. How did they get to be like this? What are they experiencing now? And when you do that, you suddenly see, because if you look at children, if children are trying to tell you something and you're not hearing it and you're busy, most people are, I see whenever I'm visiting my children, tick, 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 they're all on the phone, and when the child talks to the parent, tick, tick, tick on the phone while they're listening to the child, And I think sometimes children with their freshness, they don't have preconceived ideas in any way. Children are fresh, they're open, and sometimes you need to really lean down and put the question mark and listen to what they're saying. Then you will hear the speech and the irritation and the emotion in a completely different way, because you're looking with compassion, with empathy, not with irritability, because it's not fitting in with your world at the moment. It's not fitting in with what you want at the moment. You're just looking at them and really, really, really trying to understand where are they coming from. Because if you watch children, when they nag and when they cry and when they're moaning, they're telling you something. And sometimes, like a child who's just had a scratch themselves, let's say. So they'll come and they'll say, Mommy, it's very sore. Look at me. And they're crying and crying and crying. And usually the mother will go, it's not serious. She might wipe it or whatever the case is. But they're expressing something. We need to receive it. We need to sit down and say, oh dear, what happened? Okay, let me take this tissue and let's really, really, really clear it and clean it and kiss it better. And it's all fine now. When you do that, they run off. When you don't do that, they back every 5 minutes. It's sore and I don't know what to do. And they're moaning and groaning. You just got to listen, because children are such beautiful teachers. Why? Because they don't conceptualize until later. It's our mind that conceptualizes, that blocks the communication. They tell it to you exactly as it is. And we need to listen to it with that urgency, with that awakening, and that's how I feel the three come together. And I think children are our biggest teachers. And I love the children. They're so divine to listen to and to hear freshly what they say, And then as they get older, they adopt the crappy habits of their parents, and then you can hear them saying all those things, and this is how it is. They lose that freshness. As in Buddhism, they say, child walks into a temple, a young child, and sees the color and sees the beauty and doesn't have any preconceptions, just is able to relate to what is there. Can you understand that, Buddhisa? It's really important because they're beautiful children and they teach us. So I think that's really important. Anyone else?
Yeah, I've got something to say. I think this kind of law of vibrational matching is so easily forgotten and such a precious kind of it's a precious gift to understand it.
Yeah.
And to be conscious of it and to be able to utilize it when we need to utilize it is for me, I'll just speak personally. I forget this all of the time, and in my despair, which I've had quite a lot of recently, I vibrate with the despair and forget to vibrate with the medication that's going to get me out of the despair, and
which is
to chant and to focus on the vibrations that are available to, you know, to take as medicine to get me out of this rather royal situation that I'm in. And recently I've been doing a lot more of that with profound success, and I'm extremely grateful. And even, you know, the vibration of gratefulness is itself a medicine, and we forget that as well. And while the former person was speaking, I was just being reminded of my dogs, actually, because they don't have a clue what you're saying, really. I mean, they don't understand English. I mean, they might do, but I don't think they do. And you can call, you know, I mean, one of my dogs is like Dharma. You can call her Yappy or whatever you like, you know, and she'll come to you in view of the vibration that you're emitting. And I think that this is the attraction in action, really. We're creating these vibrational episodes, for lack of another word, and the universe is responding to us.
Beautiful, because I think what you're saying is that in our being bogged down with everything, you know, animals, when you are upset, an animal will not know a concept of upset. We use concepts. You're upset. We can't let the energy go through us to someone who is upset. Dogs don't have the words, they don't have the concepts, but they know you're upset, so they'll come and lick you. That's what you're talking about, that actually you forget about the vibrations of the world and how we connect with each other. And when we're down, you know, like I was saying to somebody today that I was counseling, she was saying, you know, I just can't get out of the habit of rescuing everybody and always being the good girl. And I said to her, you know what? You know what's interesting? When you're down and when you're really having a difficult time, and you're having a difficult time at work, and you're having a difficult time with everything, you've got to remember, that essence, with its energy, with its awareness, with its nature, is always there, and that essence is never affected by anything, not by your karma, not by anything in your life, not by your pain. It's got no effect. So isn't that the time that we have to really go inwards to unite with that which is much greater than this little drama we're going through, which is actually nothing in the scheme of things? So I think it's really important here in this, how we practically apply the Vajra body, Vajra mind, and Vajra speech. It's when that energy connects, just as you're saying. And then you remember in that energy, oh my God, look at my dog. My dog is here. Look at my child. My child's come to give me a hug and found out what I'm doing, you know. And that's such a beautiful thing. It's in the now. It's in the present. So let's put on, if we can, the Vajra body, speech, and mind. Now, this is a prayer that I would like. I do this prayer every single day. I don't do it in my practice in the morning. I do it, I've got my bathroom book. So as I'm getting dressed, I say this, and then I ask for it for myself. But what we're requesting is that the teacher's body, speech, and mind remain with us, but it's actually for us. Not that one, Cooks, not yet that. Yeah, this. Okay, so it's called Request for the Teacher to Remain as the Vajra body, speech, and mind. But you're adding yourself in, so let's all say it together. The mantra is Om Amarani Jivantai Svaha, Amarani Jivansai Swaha. It's the wisdom mantra. So now we go. Your indestructible vajra body of great bliss, visible and yet empty, fully adorned with the youthfulness of the major and minor marks. Those are the marks of a vajra body pure, is the marvelous embodiment of the victorious one, a near Manakaya to teach beings. May your life be firm as the unchanging Vajra body. And then I add into that prayer, and may mine follow suit. So you're requesting the teacher, but I go, may mine follow suit. And then the next verse, your unobstructed Vajra speech, audible and yet empty. You can hear it, and yet it's empty. In the voice of the profound and secret teaching, endowed with the 60 qualities that we were talking about, is the Sambhogakaya, manifest to accord with the inclination of beings. May your life be as firm as the unceasing Vajra speech, and may my speech follow suit. And then the mind, your Vajra mind, beyond arising, dwelling, and ceasing, cognizant and yet empty, profound and luminous wakefulness, the sphere from which all things arise. I've told you the essence is the all-pervasive Lord, the Dharmakaya essence of the victorious one. May your life be as firm as the unmistaken Vajra mind, and may my mind follow suit. You can add that. And I love your picture, Fee. You present things so beautifully. So let's do the last paragraph. Sun of Buddha activity in the all-pervading sky, radiating welfare and happiness beyond rising and setting, eminent sustainer who makes the lotus garden of the teachings and beings bloom, may you shine for an ocean of eons. And you say, may I follow suit and shine for an ocean of eons. Now that prayer I do every single day. I don't do it in my prayers. I do it while I'm getting dressed. I just say it. And I keep saying it every day. A most beautiful, beautiful prayer, because this reminds you of where you're going in the Vajra body, speech, and mind. Okay, now you can do those other ultimate refuge at the highest level. Be those two you had. You do them so beautifully, really. Now, what we're doing here is, all of you know that when you take refuge, in the beginning you go, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. Okay, you say those three. You can also say later, I take refuge in the Guru, Yidam, and Dakini, but that's the inner refuge. But the secret refuge, I say this every single day before I do any prostrations in the shrine room. So I want you all to try this and see how this feels for you as a refuge prayer. Comes from Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche. Namo, in the empty essence Dharmakaya, in the luminous nature Sambhogakaya, in the manifold capacity near Manakaya, I take refuge until enlightenment. Now that prayer incorporates everything. It gives you the refuge. It gives you the safety. It gives you everything, in that you change from just the lower refuge to the secret refuge right inside you. And that is the most beautiful, beautiful prayer to come into your shrine room and say. And then lastly, the bodhicitta, which is your aspiration to help other human beings. This is the ultimate bodhicitta. So I also do this every day before my prostration. Ho, ho is that lovely sound. In order to establish all beings equal to the sky, that means as many beings as there are. In order to establish all beings equal to the sky in the state of Buddhahood, I will realize the dharmakaya of self-existing awareness through the teachings of the great perfection. If you love these, photograph them from Fee and really use them, because they will help you. They take your mind to an absolute higher level. They're in English, easy to understand, and I really think something special to do. Thanks, Fee. That's all I want to do. So I think there are so many English prayers. Like I want to, if you want, all of you, I've got Taisitu's beautiful English prayers, and I've got a whole copy for you, Fee, to make for everybody. But then you've got to do it for my morning group as well. But I will give you those prayers. They're short prayers, different things, to Mahakala, to Maitreya, to the Buddha, all sorts of very short prayers, which are really beautiful, that Taisitu has written. Now, for those of you that don't want to do long, involved Tibetan prayers, these are such beautiful prayers to do. And I'm very happy to give you, if you want. You've just got to nod your heads if you want me to give it to Fiona, and then she will make the copies beautifully and then use them. And these are the kinds of prayers that you can actually use quickly. Like if you're in a hurry in the morning and you just want to do, like sometimes in the evening, I think, I just want to relate to Maitreya, or I just want to get Mahakala and just do a quick cleanup of everything. 3 minutes and the prayer is done, or 5 minutes and the prayer is done, beautifully done in English. And I think so are these. They really are very, very useful. Do you all like what we've just put up?
Yeah.
Use them. Okay, that's great. Use them and really use them for yourselves and find your way to make that connection. Okay, so let's go on now. And then we're going to do a little Guru Yoga in a moment, but let's just go on with what we were saying from Trale Gamkon and his whole thing of transcending your self-image and really going to that vajra body, speech, and mind. We'll do a little and then we'll do a meditation. But please butt in and ask, because for me, it's so important that you get this. It's so important that you apply this in your life. And Tati, as we were talking yesterday, it's the connectivity that is important. Because if you do all of these things and you do all your prayers and you're really a good girl or good guy and you do everything, but you don't, as Taulok said, make that vibrational interconnection with people, see them and touch them and feel them and be with them, then there's no point in anything. It's to be able to really get through to people and touch their hearts and communicate with them in every conceivable way that is really important. And I think that most of the time, when we are communicating with people, we are using either the speech, and the speech is just concepts. We're not using the full level of communication where you touch the heart of another person and you connect. It's really important. So 2 weeks ago, I know we missed one, so it's a bit difficult, but you can go back and look. But 2 weeks ago, we were talking about what he said about a feeling of always being separate from people, really being separate on people. And he says, I was telling you last time, he says there's a notion of autonomy. I can control whatever I want. If I rise up my hand, I can rise my hand up. If I want a sip of water, I can pick up the water and drink it. He says we kind of think we have autonomy. Autonomy is not connectedness. Remember that. That's really, really important. He says, and when we start looking deeper, I was telling you this last time, we see there's so many things we don't have control over. We don't have control over how our heart works, how our heartbeat. We don't have control over whether we get a headache or not. We don't have control over many of the physical processes that we have until We don't have control if we sneeze. We don't have control of any of those things. So last week, 2 weeks ago, what we were doing was that the belief on our attitudes towards everything has got to be overcome. And that's a self. If you believe I'm a self and don't you dare talk to me like that, and how you talk to people, it's absolutely useless. And so we do what we were doing, that short chirp practice last time. Do you all remember? Where you gave away the body, where you actually give it away. That's what we were doing. And where you actually see at the end of that exercise that people are satisfied. They go their ways. They get what they want from you. You give them, especially if there's someone in your life that's really driving you a little bit mad and can't get enough from you. So in your meditation, you just give them everything. You give away your whole self, which is the whole practice of the chur, which I told you about last time. I'm not going into it again. And so what we were also talking about was that in the lower Hinayana practices, okay, it's mostly emphasis on the body. But when you get to the Vajrayana, the tantric practices, then the emphasis is placed on speech. But remember, speech is not only your words. Speech is the full energy, and it's not only verbalizing, it's also in relation to our emotions. That's what we were talking about 2 weeks ago, okay? Our emotional feelings, our moods, our varieties of value judgment, all these manifest as speech. And in Tantra, what the person has to do is to try, is not necessarily to try and change or modify their behavior, but rather to understand how do the passions come about, he says. When we begin to understand how the passions come about, in other words, how do emotions arise, and what are the connections that exist between emotions, passions, and communication? You know, when we think about that, it's unbelievable, because all our emotional experiences are related with communication and our interaction with others. It's like the most important thing. So he said, tantric techniques that you do where you visualize yourself, say, as Chen Rezi, who's a really compassionate being, or Tara, as you did, Martin, who goes through doing things perfectly, but very quickly and very beautifully and very whole, in a whole way, or visualizing a Haruka, which is an angry deity, and you become that Haruka, and then you realize that the Harukas are not really angry. They just come to give you a little pat, to wake you up, to see what's really there. And so what we're doing in the Dzogchen approach is, he says, one is no longer simply concerned with the aspect of communication, but you're more interested in your self-knowledge. You're more interested in understanding your true conditions, okay? Your true condition you want to understand. You want to understand, how are things in reality? What's the reality? Like when Modisa was saying, you know, how do you approach a child? When a child's nagging and crying and whining, how do you approach that child? As soon as you are aware of your own condition and the child's condition, we in an unconditional thing, rather than I must do it this way and this is what I need to explain. If I'm talking to you and I'm suddenly aware that I've got to give you something that is really, really vital for you, my heart has got to touch your heart, then we're not trying to improve, we're trying to be there. And he says it's called simply let everything rest in their true unconditional state. Because what we do is we always interfering in whatever is going on with the dynamic process. We interfere because of our own preconceived ideas. Because our parents told us Never be angry. It's a bad thing. We never thought to look at anger and see it as mirror-like wisdom. We just see the anger. We can't see the real state of that anger. So what we're looking at here is looking at the true state of ourselves and other people. And when the body, speech, and mind are working together, we can, it's not about improving a situation. It's about really seeing the truth about that situation. Maybe this person's got a point. Maybe what they're doing and what they're telling me is really important for me to see. We concentrate much more, not on a whole intellectual perfecting of ourselves, because when we perfect ourselves, when we become exactly like our parents taught us, then what often happens, he says, is that we find a split in ourselves. So what happens is we find that the part we really feeling, the part we really want to express, the part we are, gets suppressed and split off. And then you become sick because, you're not an integrated whole. So like in Dzogchen, he says, you have to be able to just be who you are. That's so difficult because who are you? The person I am is completely different to the person I was a few years ago. But he says to understand your true condition is when you start bringing about the feeling. And what the exercise that he asks you to do, he says, you've got to self-liberate whatever comes up. And it's called run roll. Self-liberate the emotion. Let it come up, let it come, and let it dissolve. Just allow it to be, because what he asks you to do at a later stage is, he says, go into a room. And he says, scream, shout, talk out all the things. I want to tell you what he says, scream, shout, talk out everything that you want to. Let yourself go, find a private place. He says, go to an empty place, lock yourself up in a room and act out whatever you want to act out. If you want to scream, scream. He says, if you want to be like a dog, act like a dog and bark. Do anything you want. Act it out. Now, a lot of you will say, that's a bit crazy. When I was on retreat in India and I was doing the Russian practice, that's a practice where you act out all the different realms. So you start in the hell realm. I mean, it's absolutely exhausting if you really act it out. But it's an amazing thing. If you're in a really low, suppressed place, it's really, really good. You're actually in a hell realm. And when you walk around, you see everything is dark. You see the whole world is dark. You're actually in a hell realm at that time. As Taluk said, you can't see anything else. Now, when you do the Russian practice in Dzogchen, you first go into a hell realm and you act it out. So I was by myself. I was in the room, I didn't scream out because the people in other retreat rooms could hear. But I ran around like a lunatic. I was in the hot hells. Okay, I was in the hot hells. So I was running and going, oh my God, these mountains are closing in on me. What can I do? Oh, and it's boiling hot. I'm burning. My skin's tearing off. I was running around like a lunatic. Then I was in the cold, the frozen realms. And I was going, I'm frozen. If only I could get some water. I was screaming it out to the best of my ability, acting out the hell realm. And then when you finish that, you go to the hungry ghost realm. And the hungry ghost are all the greedy people who can never get enough. So when I was in the hungry ghost and acting out, I was going, I'm so hungry. I can't get it. That gold. Oh, my poor dog's woken up because of my poor gold. I need that gold. I need that. Look at that vision. you act it out. So you act out all the realms, the human realm. I kind of said to myself, do I have to act out the human realm? You just look around you, you see it, the animal realm. So I acted out as though I was a little deer and, you know, or a buck. And I was really always looking, you know, was there a lion coming? Was there this? You act out each of the realms right up to the God realm. And I acted out the God realm, you know, that they live in this absolute luxury and then it all fades in the end. And when you've done all the practices, okay, you just lie on the floor, exhausted, depleted. You haven't even got 1 inch of energy. And that's when you recognize your mind. When you've played out all the crap from all the years, you know, you've played it all out. All of us have been in a hell realm. All of us have been in a hungry ghost realm, jealous and we've been in a jealous God realm. We've all been in that. And when the act is finished, you're supposed to, you go into this, it's called Nadua or something like that. You just lie on the floor and you just surrender everything, everything that you are. And at that moment, you realize the transient nature of the world and what it really is. And he says, in this exercise, find a private place. Go to an empty place, lock yourself up in the room, act out whatever you want to act out. If you want to scream or act like a dog, do anything you want. And then when you've finished, you know, and I often do that when I'm annoyed or upset about something, I come in and I do a little ranting and raving in here, and then let it go. And when you let it go, suddenly you are in your essence, because there isn't any more of that rubbish that we've had pumped into us from childhood. Can you all understand what he's saying? And then I'm going to come now, we're going to do a meditation, but then there is the vajra body, which we'll practice next time. Fee, just show them the picture of the vajra body, if you can. She always does it beautifully. Now, this is an exercise which I also used to do a lot of. And we will discuss next time how this exercise works, how it's an actual meditation. It's very, very exhausting. But if you can give us that vajra posture, instead of me trying to show you on the screen here, I won't be able to. But you've actually got your hands like this, and you're standing and you're leaning into your legs, and you are actually a vajra in this. That's how it is with the eye in the stomach. Okay, that's so beautiful the way you've done it. So that posture is an amazing posture. You do it for as long as you can, and you do that going out, the red going out from the navel. Normally it's in the throat, but in this exercise, in the navel. And then you stand for as long as you can, and I'll give you his exercises to do with it. And then exhausted afterwards. It really, really works. It's called that vajra body exercise. That we'll do that, and we'll do some of the hung exercises, which are really good in terms of the speech, because all of these are his meditation practices, and I've done most of them during other times while I was practicing. But does any, thanks, Fee, we'll practice that next time. I just wanted to show you, because he gives all these different meditation practices. When you stand like that in the vajra posture with your feet there and you stand, it's very difficult to do it for a long time. But you do it and you concentrate and you focus, and we'll do it, and then you let go of everything. It's so important, because when you look at yourself, you really don't understand how much rubbish we surround ourselves with. How much rubbish, how many preconceived ideas and beliefs and everything we have about ourselves. We don't see ourselves as a spiritual being. who can touch and communicate with people, which we really are. And this vajra, body, speech, and mind, the way it gives it, is all three in union. So if somebody's speaking to you, you are present, you are focused, you are listening, you are putting the question mark, trying to hear it. And the same with when you are communicating with someone. It is clear, and the other person listens, because when it's vajra speech, then the other person really is interested because it comes out at their level. How many people in this world really understand this? Just look at all the miscommunication in this world. Don't you feel wonderful when you have somebody who says, I get what you're saying? I mean, if you have a boss who says, you know what you're saying is absolutely amazing, and I get what you're saying, you know. I mean, it's such a lovely feeling when someone says, I know what you feel, but not in a phony way. You know, when I learned psychotherapy techniques and everything, you know, I remember we used to learn Rogerian techniques, you know. I found them a lot phony. Like when you said, you're really feeling this, you're really feeling that. It was a bit painful. And we had this lecturer who would always say, yes, I quite understand how you feel. And I used to think, you don't. It's got to be the body, speech, and mind together that are enacting on you so that you can feel it, so that so that you are in touch, connectivity with people. Tati, you're very quiet tonight. Is it like, are you okay? Tatiana, yeah, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I think so.
Good.
At some level.
Good. No, that's very good. Because whatever level you understand, it'll be amazing, really amazing. Because it's really important when you do, and when you do that prayer of vajra, body, speech, and mind of the teacher, and you follow suit, it's amazing. So let's quickly do a short guru yoga together. And then we'll end tonight. So get into your beautiful meditative posture. Sorry, I don't know why my legs are so restless tonight. But get into your beautiful meditative posture. And breathe in the beautiful spaciousness of your essence. Just feel it. Deep blue in color. And breathe it into your being. As though you were a painter. It was painting in the beautiful blue color of the whole of your essence into your being. So exquisite. And as you breathe out, let all those emotions go that you've hung on to. Resentments, grudges, pain, worry, anxiety. Just let it be. Let it liberate itself. If you just allow it to be without analyzing, attaching, philosophizing, picking it up, dissecting, if you just give it freedom and space, it becomes a wisdom. It melts into the essence. Now, just for the purposes, we're just going to do a short guru yoga tonight. Because what I want you to realize is that if you do your guru yoga every day, which I always do, you visualize above your head the beautiful guru. You can use Padmasambhava Guru Rinpoche. You can use your own guru. You can use any teacher that you have great value. You can use Chenrezi. You can use any being that you want. And when you look at them in the sky, The body is represented in the head. The speech is represented as an R in the throat, red, like we just saw. And the hum is the heart, the vajra mind. And so you are drawing from this beautiful being, his vajra body, speech, and mind. You can have Tara, you can have any beautiful being in front, at the top of you. So as you breathe in, you feel to the sound of Om, the beautiful vajra body of your teacher, coming into your body, cleansing your whole body, cleansing the nadis, cleansing everything in your physical body, clearing it out, completely clearing it out, and planting the seed of that beautiful, beautiful Nirmanakaya that we talked about within you. The body, white, the vase, empowerment. Then the speech. Feel your throat, the ah from the Guru's throat, red into your throat, cleansing your speech, cleansing the energy, and really cleansing out all your ordinary speech. And feel there and feel the potential of the beautiful Sambhogakaya, the luminous, clear nature, the communication as the Guru comes, his speech comes into your throat. And then the third part of the Guru Yoga, into your heart, blue, hum, cleansing your mind of all its impurities, everything, passion, aggression, pain, pride, anger, everything, cleansing the whole of your mind and cleansing the bindus out of which the beautiful deities come, the mandalas come, cleansing all of that in your beautiful mind and giving you the potential for the Dharmakaya, the beautiful, beautiful essence, blue, into your heart, into your wisdom, awareness, empowerment. And now all three together. And I want you to feel the melding of your beautiful Vajra body, Vajra speech, and Vajra mind in the fourth empowerment called the word empowerment, or the ultimate empowerment of that ultimate nature, all three together. And as that comes into you, blue into you, you can feel the unifying of your body, speech, and mind, of your beautiful transcendent body, speech, and mind. Everything coming into your heart, and you are cleansed, and you are whole, and the Hum has been put into you, and you got the potential for the Svabhabhika Kaya. That's all the bodies together, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya, all in your beautiful heart. Now I want you to feel yourself totally dissolving into emptiness. And your beautiful energy just joins with the energy of your beautiful being. If it's Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava, you feel yourself totally one with that energy, totally, completely like essence, oneness, pureness in this very moment, one with the beautiful nature of body, speech, and mind of the Guru. Breathe that beautiful blue essence in and take that with you to bed tonight. Now that Guru Yoga can be done in 5 minutes. Very easy to do, and that is how you clear the body, speech, and mind in a beautiful, beautiful way. So I hope you can all just ponder, and in this next week, we'll carry on with this and finish it off next time. And next time we'll start with the 2 prayers, which Fiona always does so beautifully. I wish you'd come and do my book, Fee. I want to have it like that in my book. Anyway, but I want you to just this week become aware of your connectivity. Become aware of if you're listening to someone and it's only with your ears, not with your mind, not with your body. Because your body, we're going to look at, contains that. Your body is the beautiful place out of which the essence can enact its life. So don't think of your body as some dumping ground. It's your beautiful vessel that takes you through this life, and it must all be really, really put together in a beautiful way. Watch yourself this week. Watch your connectivity. Watch how you interact. Watch if you are present when you're talking to someone. Watch if you are present when you're doing your prayers. Watch if you are how you are communicating, how you are acting. We're going to go into a little more detail next time of how he explains the body is with all its karmic imprints and how it acts, all the time. So that's also very important. So let's dedicate, Fee, to all beings, and let's really dedicate to this awful war, which looks as though it's happening in the world, and Iran has got involved now in the Middle East, and it's really could be an awful situation. So let's really dedicate all the prayers for communication between the nations, for all the people who are caught in the wars to be able to find their way to the light, which is really important. Through this merit, may all beings attain omniscience. May all obscurations fall away from the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of samsara, may all beings be freed. I really pray for that. Your beautiful translation, Fee. Sonam die tamje zipane topne nepe dranam pamshene jegana chibala tropaye sipe sole doa do warsho. If all of you keep a little book, just get one of those books with plastic folders, and then you collect. If you see a beautiful prayer, that's how I've done it. If you see a beautiful prayer in a book, you just put it into that. So you've got a whole book, and then just carry it where you are. When you're cooking, you could be doing some of those prayers. When you're going into the shower, you could be doing some of those prayers. There's so many beautiful ones, and I'm going to give Fee I'm going to give her the prayers, the English prayers, so that I can get them for all of you. And then it's really beautiful to have them